Hi, I'm Hannah.
I'm Rachel.
Rachel, it's nice to meet you. I'm really glad that you came in today. So for today, I'm just going to be going through and I'm going to take some history, kind of do a little intake so that I can better know you and we can see where we're going to go from there. We'll go ahead and get started. This is going to be medical history for you. Do you have anything like heart disease, stroke, cancer, arthritis, diabetes, hypertension, or any psychiatric illnesses?
Yes, hypertension.
Hypertension?
And then I was diagnosed with clinical depression and anxiety.
Okay. And I'm just going to take some notes, that way I can remember. Okay. Do you have any surgical history unrelated to pain, such as an appendectomy?
No.
Okay. Do you have any surgical history related to pain, such as a laminectomy?
No.
Okay. Do you have any allergies, medication, or food?
None that we know of.
Okay. Do you have any intolerances, such as a side effect from previous medicine, nausea, constipation, anything like that?
No.
Okay. Do you have any of the following problems? Headaches, vision, hearing, dizziness, difficulty swallowing?
Yes.
Yes?
Headaches and vision.
Headaches and vision. Okay. Have you seen a doctor about your headaches?
No.
No? Did your headaches relieve when you got your glasses?
Mostly.
Okay. What about stomach pain, nausea, vomiting, constipation, or diarrhea?
Yes, stomach pain.
Stomach pain. A lot of times when you have depression and anxiety, stomach pain and bowel problems are another symptom that come with that. How about chest pain, shortness of breath, urinary problems, rashes, swollen joints, or chronic fatigue?
Chronic fatigue.
Okay. Yeah, chronic fatigue is another symptom of depression and would definitely go along with that. Some mental health issues, depression, which we've covered. What about nervousness, poor concentration, moodiness, memory loss, agitation, suicidal thoughts, or any other?
Definitely memory loss, moodiness, nervousness is another big one.
Okay. So what is the reason today that you're seeking service?
My anxiety and depression have been interfering with my everyday life.
Okay. So now we'll talk about your home life and your financial situation and money management. So when you're at home, who manages your money?
My mother.
Your mom? Okay. Do you think that it's adequate or inadequate?
Our money? Inadequate.
Okay. Does your income meet the following needs? I'll just say one and you can tell me yes or no. Housing,
Yes.
food,
Yes.
transportation,
Yes.
utilities,
Yes.
clothes,
Yes.
medical,
Yes.
social activities.
No.
Okay. Do you have any health insurance that you know of?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know if it's a Medicaid, Medicare, self-pay, or is it private?
Private.
Okay. In your house right now, do you rent or do you own? Are you going to buy a home or are you homeless?
We own our home.
Own a home? Okay. And does the home have running water,
Yes.
an indoor bathroom,
Yes.
and electricity?
Yes.
Okay. Do you live by yourself, with a spouse, with a partner, or children, or a parent?
A parent.
You live with just one parent?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any substance abuse issues within the household?
No.
No? Okay. Are you able to take care of yourself?
Yes.
Okay. And your caregiver,
Yes.
who is that?
Rebecca.
Okay. And is that your mom? Okay. Now we'll talk about some of your developmental history, like from when you were a baby. It's okay if you don't know this, but if you do, that might help me. So did you have any developmental milestones that were late that you know of?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that you're aware of? Do you know roughly when you rolled over for the first time?
No.
No? Sat up,
No.
crawled, walked, toilet trained? Okay, that's okay. For your prenatal history, like when your mom was pregnant with you, did you know if she had a normal pregnancy?
Normal.
Normal? Okay. Was there any alcohol or drug use?
No.
Okay. Was there any other medical problems while pregnant?
No.
Okay. Do you know roughly when you first babbled first words, combined words? Okay. That's okay. And then do you know if you were delivered by a C-section? Vaginal birth?
Naturally.
Okay, a vaginal birth.
Yeah.
And then were forceps used?
No clue.
Don't know? Okay. And then was it a breech delivery?
No.
No?
I don't know.
Breech delivery means like feet first.
I'm assuming I was at first.
Okay. Did you have any other issues related to learning, physical, emotional, or social development?
Nope.
Okay. So now we'll talk about your family history. So are your parents married, divorced, separated, never married, mother deceased, father deceased?
Divorced.
Divorced, okay. So what was home like?
As a child? In the very beginning, it was pretty awesome. The older I got, the more arguing there was within the house.
Okay.
And they got a divorce, and from there were lots of feuding between parents that I was often in the middle.
Okay. Does that stuff still go on?
No.
No? Okay. Do you have any siblings?
Yes.
Okay. Brothers, sisters?
One brother and one sister, both older than me.
Both are older than you? So you're the youngest?
Yes.
Okay. What do you say the quality of those relationships between your brother and sister are?
Between me and my sister, it's very good.
Okay.
Brother, pretty much non-existent.
Okay. And then, what about the relationship with your parents?
Mom and I live together, but we aren't very close. We don't talk very often. Me and my father have not talked in years.
Okay. Is there any family history of illness, mental retardation, or any substance abuse?
Yes. My grandfather on my father's side was an alcoholic.
Okay.
Mental illness-wise, I don't think there was any either side.
Okay. So, presently, I know you're a child. Are you in any kind of relationship?
No.
Okay. And then, what would you describe your sexual orientation?
Straight.
Okay. The number of, you're the only child in your home, correct? Okay. Now we'll go ahead and talk about your educational history. What's your current education level?
9th grade.
9th grade? Have you had any problems during school, anything? Nope. Okay. What kind of student would you describe yourself? Excellent, good, average, below average, very poor?
Excellent.
Excellent. That's awesome. Have you ever repeated any grades?
No.
No. Okay. Any learning difficulties at all?
No.
Okay. Did you receive special education services?
I got boosted to 1st grade when I was in kindergarten.
Okay.
In reading.
Okay.
Don't know if
Very
that counts.
smart then. And have you received any psychological testing?
No.
Okay. Do you have any history of attention deficit disorder?
I don't think so.
Okay. Have you ever been treated for ADHD?
No.
Okay. Is there any military history in your family?
No.
No. Okay. And then this is work history. You're not employed, correct? Okay. All right. So now we'll go into some legal history. This may be a short section for you because you are a minor. Do you presently have any legal charges against you, or are you involved in any court proceedings?
No.
Okay. Have you ever been arrested?
No.
Do you have a prison record?
No.
Do you have a juvenile record?
No.
Driver's license ever revoked?
No.
DUIs?
No.
A victim of a crime in the past year?
Yes.
Okay, can you explain a little bit about that?
Negligence
Okay.
and emotional abuse.
Okay. Custody issues?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about that? The custody issues?
I did not want to be with my father. We went to court and decided that I did not have to see him if I did not want to.
Now we'll talk about some of the psychiatric history. Have you ever been treated outpatient?
Yes.
Okay. What were you treated for?
Anxiety and depression.
Okay. About what date? What year, if that helps?
I've been in 2014. I was in counseling, and I'm currently in counseling.
Okay. To the present. What facility did you go to?
Outpatient care, I went to Therapeutic Solutions.
Okay.
And currently I am at Family Options.
Okay. Was this voluntary or involuntary?
Voluntary.
Voluntary? Okay. What about any inpatient?
Yes.
Yeah.
I stayed in the Ridge for 5 days.
Okay.
In 2015, 2014.
Okay.
For suicidal tendencies.
Okay. And was that voluntary or involuntary?
Voluntary.
Okay. Is there any family history of treatment for mental illness or substance abuse? Okay. And then now we'll go on to talk about some substance abuse. Have you ever consumed drinks in the past? Is it occasional? Do you do it frequently or continuously?
No.
Never? Okay. Have you ever used drugs?
No.
Use any additive prescription drugs?
Like prescribed drugs, like just
Like abuse?
Oh
then?
no.
Okay. Or inhalants?
No.
Okay. Tobacco use. Have you ever smoked tobacco in any form? Dipped, cigarettes, cigars? Okay. We'll talk about chemical and alcohol history. Have you ever drank any alcohol? Anything like that? No? Okay. Have you experienced any high-risk behaviors associated with substance abuse? For example, like IV drug abuse, DUIs, risky sexual contact? Okay. List any frequent or negative emotional, mental, or spiritual consequences of the chemical usage, which is not applicable to you. Okay. And then now we'll talk a little bit about the abuse history. I know you mentioned it briefly. Have you ever been a victim of physical abuse?
No.
Okay. What about emotional abuse?
Yes.
Okay. What age were you?
11 to 12.
So pretty young. Was the abuse reported?
Yes.
To whom was it reported?
A counselor, and then
Counselor.
to the police.
Police. Okay. Have you ever been a perpetrator of physical, emotional, or sexual abuse?
No.
Okay. Could you go ahead and describe what were some of the effects of the abuse?
Very low self-esteem, suicidal thoughts, destroyed the relationship I had with my father. That's about it.
Okay. Okay, now this is talking about values. Do you gain support through religious, ethnic, or spiritual values?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit more about that, how you get that support?
I don't know.
Kind of hard to explain.
Yeah.
Do you have people you feel like you could talk to about spiritual things or something like
Somewhat.
that? Okay. Are there any current or past grief issues? No? Okay. Now we're going to talk about your social and leisure history. So what do you do for fun? What are your hobbies?
Don't really have any hobbies.
Okay. You like to sit home, chill?
I pretty much lay in my bed and stare at the ceiling and think about life.
Okay. Alright. So I'm going to do an anxiety inventory. And I want you to rate this either a 0, 1, 2, or 3. Okay? So this is a list of common symptoms of anxiety, and just tell me how much you've been bothered by that symptom in the past month, including today. So the first one, 0 being none at all, and 3 being severely. It bothered me a lot. So numbness or tingling,
0.
Feeling hot,
1.
1. Wobbliness in legs,
2.
okay. Unable to relax,
3.
okay. So pretty bad, like severe, okay. Fear of the worst happening,
2.
2. Okay. So moderately, it wasn't pleasant at times, okay. What about dizzy or lightheaded?
0.
0, okay. Heart pounding, racing,
0.
okay. Feeling unsteady,
3.
3. Feeling terrified or afraid,
2.
a 2, so moderately, okay. Feeling nervous,
3.
3, so severely bothered you a lot. Feeling of choking, 0. Your hands trembling,
2.
a 2, okay. Shaky, unsteady,
2.
2. Fear of losing control,
3.
3, so that bothers you a lot,
Yeah.
okay. Difficulty in breathing,
0.
0, okay. Fear of dying,
0.
0. Scared,
Just in general, 2.
a 2, so moderately. What about indigestion?
2.
2, okay. You ever feel faint or lightheaded?
Yeah, 1.
1, okay, so like mildly, but it didn't bother you much, okay. Face being flushed,
1.
1, okay. What about hot or cold sweats?
Just a 1.
Just the ones that just mildly didn't bother you that much. Okay. I would say that you have some moderate anxiety. Your body is trying to tell you something through you said your legs felt wobbly a lot and you're very shaky, and then you said how you felt like the fear of losing control and being unable to relax. I think that's some moderate anxiety. You may have some conflict issues that need to be resolved. Clearly it's not panic time, but you may want to find ways to manage the stress that you feel, and that's stuff that we can work on together here. Now I'm going to do a depression inventory. And this, I'm going to read some phrases, and you can tell me if it's the 0, 1, 2, or 3 again. So I'll start with 0, and then it'll build up to 3. So the first one is, I do not feel sad. I feel sad. I'm sad all the time and I can't snap out of it. Or 3, I'm so sad or unhappy I can't stand it.
2.
And 2, I'm sad all the time and I can't snap out of it. Okay. And for the second one, I'm not particularly discouraged about the future. I feel discouraged about the future. I feel like I have nothing to look forward to. I feel like the future is hopeless and that things cannot improve.
1.
A 1, so you feel discouraged about the future. Okay. For the next one is, I do not feel like a failure. I feel like I have failed more than the average person. As I look back on my life, all I can see is a lot of failure. I feel I'm a complete failure as a person.
1.
Right, a 1, so I feel like I have failed more than the average person. Okay. For the next one, I get as much satisfaction out of things as I used to. Or, I don't enjoy the things the way I used to. Or, I don't get any real satisfaction out of anything anymore. Or 3, I'm dissatisfied or bored with everything.
2.
And 2, I don't get any real satisfaction out of anything anymore. Okay. For the fifth one, I don't feel particularly guilty. I feel guilty a good part of the time. I feel quite guilty most of the time, or I feel guilty all of the time.
1.
A 1. So I feel guilty a good part of the time. Okay. For this next one, I don't feel I'm being punished. I feel I may be punished, or I expect to be punished, or I feel I'm being punished.
0.
A 0. I don't feel like I'm being punished. Okay. For the 7th one, I don't feel disappointed in myself. I am disappointed in myself. I'm disgusted with myself, or I hate myself.
1.
A 1. I'm disappointed in myself. Okay. For this one, I don't feel I'm any worse than anyone else. I'm critical of myself for my weaknesses or mistakes. I blame myself all the time for my faults, or I blame myself for everything bad that happens.
2.
A 2. I blame myself all the time for my faults. Okay. The 9th one says, I don't have any thoughts of killing myself. I have thoughts of killing myself, but I would not carry them out. I would like to kill myself, or I would kill myself if I had the chance.
0.
A 0. Okay. The 10th one is, I don't cry more than usual. I cry more now than I used to. I cry all the time, or I used to be able to cry, but now I can't cry even though I want to.
3.
A 3. Okay. The 11th one is, I am no more irritated by things than I ever am. I'm slightly more irritated now than usual. I'm quite annoyed or irritated a good deal of the time, or I feel irritated all the time now.
2.
2. So you're quite more annoyed and irritated. Okay. The next one is, I have lost interest in other people. Or I have not lost interest in other people, sorry. I am less interested in other people than I used to be. I have lost most of my interest in other people, or I've lost all my interest in other people.
2.
2. Okay. So you've lost most interest in other people. Okay. Next one is, I make decisions about myself as well as I ever could. I put off making decisions more than I used to. I have greater difficulty in making decisions than before, where I can't make decisions at all anymore.
1.
A 1. So I put off making decisions more than I used to. Okay. The next one, I don't feel that I look any worse than I used to. I am worried that I am looking old or unattractive. I feel that there are permanent changes in my appearance that make me look unattractive, or I believe that I look ugly.
2.
A 2. So you feel like there are permanent changes in your appearance that make you look unattractive. Okay. Got a few more. So do you feel like I can work about as well as before? It takes extra effort to get started to do something. I have to push myself very hard to do anything, or I can't do any work at all.
2.
So you have to push yourself very hard to do anything. Okay. This one says, I can sleep as well as usual. I don't sleep as well as I used to. I wake up 1 to 2 hours earlier than usual and find it hard to go back to sleep. Or I wake up several hours earlier than I used to and cannot go back to sleep.
1.
A 1. Okay. And then this one says, I don't get more tired than usual. I get tired more easily than I used to. I get tired from doing almost anything, or I am too tired to do anything.
2.
Okay, so you get tired from doing almost anything. Okay. My appetite is no worse than usual. My appetite is not as good as it used to be. My appetite is much worse now, or I have no appetite at all anymore.
What's one with a little smaller appetite? Which one was that?
Do you want me to repeat them?
Yeah.
Okay. So 0 would be, my appetite is no worse than usual. A 1 is, my appetite is not as good as it used to be. A 2 would be, my appetite is much worse now. Or a 3 would be, I have no appetite at all anymore.
2.
A 2. Okay. Much worse. I haven't lost much weight, if any, lately. Would be a 0. I have lost more than 5 pounds. I have lost more than 10 pounds. I have lost more than 15 pounds.
I don't own a scale,
Okay.
but I have lost weight.
You have lost weight?
Yeah.
Do you think it's a significant amount?
Mom says it is.
Okay. Do you think that'd be about 5, 10, 15?
Probably between 5 and 10.
Between 5, and 10. Okay. We have a couple more. I'm no more worried about my health than usual, or I am worried about my physical problems such as aches, pains, upset stomach, constipation. I am very worried about my physical problems. It's hard to think of much else. Or I'm so worried about my physical problems that I cannot think about anything else.
1.
A 1. Okay, so you're worried about physical problems. Okay. And then the last one. I've not noticed any recent change in my interest in sex. I am less interested in sex now than I used to be. I am much less interested in sex now, or I have lost interest in sex completely.
0.
0, okay. So I'll tally these up so that I can get you a score. Okay, so we have some moderate depression. Again, that's similar to your anxiety. I know that you've been in counseling and you've kind of been working through these things, and can you see improvements in yourself?
Somewhat.
Somewhat, okay. But it's not something to take lightly, obviously. There's stuff, is there stuff that you would want to change and work on?
Yes.
Okay. And now you can just tell me if you have any of these family history of any of these, sorry. Alcohol,
Yes.
illegal drugs,
No.
prescription drugs,
No.
personal history of substance abuse. So this is, you do you have any
No.
history with this? Alcohol,
Personally?
Mhm.
No.
illegal drugs,
No.
prescription drugs.
No.
So, have you ever been sexually abused?
No.
Okay. Do you have any psychological disorders that you know of?
No.
Okay. And then depression we've talked about. Okay. So you're at a pretty low risk for opioid risk. That's what that was. Sorry if I didn't explain it. That was another inventory about opioid risk, and you're at a low risk, so that's good. Let's talk about alcohol screening, but you said that you do not drink, so we can go ahead and skip this. Okay. Let's see here. We'll do like a mini mental health status examination. And I'm just going to ask you some questions, and you can just give me the answer. Can you tell me the date?
It is April the 6th, 5th.
Yeah, I think it's the 6th.
Okay, 6th.
And what year is it?
2017.
And do you know what day of the week it is?
Thursday.
Okay. Where are you right now?
I'm at KCU, Grayson, Kentucky.
Okay. Okay. Can you name 3 objects slowly and clearly? Just in this room.
A pencil, phone, TV.
Okay. Can you count backwards from 100 by 7?
Probably, maybe not. 93.
Okay.
86.
Okay.
79.
Okay.
72.
I'm doing great.
I'm really bad at math.
That's okay. You're doing great.
72. So that would be 65.
Okay.
And then 58.
Okay. That's good. Can you spell the word world backwards?
D-L-R. Oh wait, did I say L? Yeah,
You're right.
O-W.
Okay. Good job. Can you recall the objects that you mentioned a few minutes
Pencil,
ago?
phone, TV.
Okay, good job. Can you say no ifs, ands, or buts?
No ifs, ands, or buts.
I'm going to give you a piece of paper, and I want you to take this paper in your right hand, fold it in half, and put it on the floor.
Hot dog or hamburger?
You can pick. Good job. You can open your eyes. Can you write a sentence for me? Give me any kind of sentence.
Yeah.
Okay.
The lazy brown dog. I think I messed this sentence up already. Jumped over the fox.
Okay.
I think I got that backwards.
You're fine. Alright. Now I'm going to draw something on this paper, and I want you to do the exact same drawing. Okay? Okay? Can you mimic that for me?
Let's see.
Alright, so I'd say you're pretty mentally stable just based off of this exam. Okay. I'll go on. This is a psychiatric rating scale that we're going to do, and that's this will be the last thing that we do, and then we can talk about what we want to do for the next time and where to go from here. So this will be the last one. This one, you're going to rate actually, I'm sorry, this is my mistake. This is for my purposes. So we'll go ahead and talk about where would you like to see this going, and then we can go ahead and close, and then we'll go ahead and get you out in the waiting room, and we'll have you scheduled for the next appointment.
That works.
Okay.
A few goals I have is to be able to be more graceful in social situations.
Okay.
I have the tendency to stutter whenever I'm in new situations.
Okay.
I'd like to stop that. Motivation. I'd like to have more motivation to do things that I used to enjoy.
Okay.
I used to enjoy hiking and art, and now I find no enjoyment in any of it.
Okay. Well, Rachel, I'm really glad that you came in today. I appreciate you being so open and sharing with me. We'll go ahead and we'll schedule for your next appointment. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.